Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm honoured to be here today to speak on Bill C-224. And I want to acknowledge the member who's tabled it. I am proud to serve on PROC with her, and I really respect my Liberal friend, and I think this is a testimony of places where collectively all parties can come together and recognize a need in our country and work together to try to make it a little bit better. So this bill provides for the development of a national framework designed to raise awareness of cancers linked to firefighting and to support improved access for firefighters to cancer prevention and treatment. It also designates the month of January in every year as the Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. We know that firefighters are killed by cancer around 3 times more than the general population, and that cancer rates among firefighters increase dramatically as they age. And, Madam Speaker, I think that's an important part that we remember. We're asking these people to step in the line for us, and the outcomes for them are often very dangerous. Sadly, there is inconsistent recognition of occupational cancers of firefighters across Canada. Each province and territory having a different method that really does concern me. It concerns me because we ask these folks to run into the burning building as we're running out, and we need to make sure that their health is cared for in a much more effective way. Brad Colcutt, president of IAFF Local 1298 from Powell River Firefighters, sent me a chart today of the BC firefighters' presumptive coverage. It states the years of cumulative employment required to claim coverage for illnesses. He said to me, shortened latency periods are now required as there are more and more toxic chemicals involved with fires. Firefighters are being hit with cancers faster and sooner, and latency periods need to be updated. These periods vary across Canada from province to province. This needs to change. We need consistency. For example, a member who has served 14 years and 9 months is not eligible for benefits because there is a 15-year minimum service deadline, end quote. Firefighters simply need better. Small communities in particular, firefighters are called out to fill in a lot of other gaps of service that there are in the communities. Fire Chief Dan Verdun from Campbell River noted that in Campbell River they have seen a significant increase in medical type calls. Last year, out of the 3,600 calls in the Campbell River area, 2,000 were due to medical type calls. He attributes this to the increasing shortfalls in the healthcare system that are being experienced across the riding, quite frankly. And it's very concerning because that takes up a lot of time and resources. And I think that it's something that we need to look at. I know it's outside of the realm of this bill, but healthcare concerns are growing and the impacts are tremendous and far-reaching. This is being seen in other communities in my riding. Fire Chief Brent Borg from Port Hardy said that there has been an increase in medical type calls. They are now doing ambulance assist calls only. And the fire chief is really concerned that the risk is out there for people with medical needs who may or may not have the required assistance provided to them. Madam Speaker, Fire Chief Rob McWilliams from Gillies Bay Fire Department is concerned about the realities that they are seeing around the well-being of their members. The longer they serve, the worse the outcomes. A couple of long-term firefighters have died from cancer, and the former fire chief died from a brain tumor. He shared that a long-time firefighter, 10 years of experience, died just last year. His cancer was occupationally related in his opinion, but he was denied benefits because he hadn't been exposed for the minimum of 15 years. He said, and I quote, "The length of exposure time they are looking for is just ridiculous." Madam Speaker, these folks know that the safety of their members is key and that their health is at risk just by the fact that they do their job. So they invest significant time in safety practices due to the higher instances of cancer-related deaths, including things like decontamination units and scrub-down areas. Fire Chief Board spoke passionately about the changes they have made to care for their members over these many years. The amount of work and dedication really should be admired and recognized, and action is the next step that needs to happen to acknowledge the long-term health outcomes of the firefighters. We asked them to deal with emergency issues and to run towards running buildings when we are running out of them. This bill will do more to acknowledge the health outcomes of those actions. It is a start, but it is certainly not the bar of dignity that they deserve, and I know that all of us in this House will continue to work on that. In Gold River, just several months ago in my riding, a fire broke out in a trailer park. The volunteers of the fire department were there, and they were called, and they came. The Powell River fire station was also dispatched. Madam Speaker, it's over an hour away, so it was only volunteers on the scene. They did an amazing job and prevented what was already a terrible situation from becoming one that could have been so much worse. I was honored to meet with Fire Chief John McPherson, and several of his team. The Powell River firefighters were very impressed with the Gold River firefighters' ability to do the job. And Madam Speaker, we are so lucky to have them in our community. Their dedication is beyond reproach. I'm grateful for these firefighters, and I want to see their health more recognized. And I also want to mention that volunteer firefighters need far more acknowledgement of the important work they do and the commitment they make for their communities and for our communities. I hope that all members in this place will support my friend, the member from Courtenay, Alberni, with his private member's bill, C-310. I have seconded this bill because it addresses key issues that really matter to people in my riding. We know that volunteer firefighters are about 83% of Canada's total firefighting essential first responders. 83%. In my riding of North Island Powell River, many of our fire stations are full of volunteers. This is how small communities work. They help each other. Bill C-310 addresses the fact that the Tax Code of Canada currently allows volunteer firefighters and search and rescue volunteers to claim a $3,000 tax credit if 200 hours of volunteer service were completed within the calendar year. In my opinion, this is not respectful for the work these people do. In fact, Madam Speaker, this works out to a mere $450 a year, which we allow these essential workers, volunteers, to keep of their own income from their regular jobs. So they work to keep us safe, our community safe, for about $2.25 an hour. If they volunteer more than 200 hours, which many do, this tax credit becomes even less. I want to be clear. These folks work their everyday job and then add hours of volunteer time to protect our communities. These essential volunteers not only put their lives and health on the line and give their time, training, and efforts to Canadians, but they also allow communities to keep property taxes lower than if the paid service were required. Again, an example of the commitment small communities have. Bill C-310 would increase the tax credit to $10,000. This is about dignity, and this would allow these essential volunteers to keep more of their hard-earned money, likely to be spent in their community in which they live, and it would help retain these volunteers in a time when volunteerism is decreasing. And Madam Speaker, if you've ever lived in a small community, you realize how scary it would be if that happened. All Canadians know we need firefighters. I'm not sure how many understand the commitment and health realities they face because of their service. We must all do better. I want to thank all the fire stations in my riding: Cortez Island, Powell River, Malsapina, Savory Island, Northside, Tla'amin, Alert Bay, Campbell River, Comox, Gillies Bay, Gold River, Port Alice, Port Hardy, Port McNeill, Quadra Island, Sayward, Sointula, Tassaswas, and Zabalas. I see them working hard in their communities, their intense engagement on social media, and all that they do to keep us safe. I hope all the members in this place will do better for firefighters. Thank you, Madam Speaker.